people will really appreciate and network, not only within their group, but with other groups. Those were the two things. And then when it came to the awards, I would like us to do something different in between. So we don't focus on the end goal, but what other people are doing in between.
Let's mute our mics.
The second meeting, we acknowledge and
thank you.
Right, just confirm if you can see my screen.
Sure, we can.
Okay, great. All right, so I'll kill my video just to save my bandwidth. I think that should be fine. Area that, sorry, I just realized I was on mute. So thank you once again. So I want us to spend, say, the next couple of minutes, maybe say 15, 20 minutes or so, just, reflecting more around how we are transforming our workforce, especially through digital learning. And in the world where we live today, I think most of you will agree that, the tide has changed. It's not like before where we were used to the same old ways of doing things, going to school, going to college, and then after that waiting for employment. And there used to be a lot of abundance of such. But, with the advancement we are seeing today in technology, the shifting priorities within the business environment, the business community, the economic landscape, the business landscape, the social landscape, we cannot still apply the old ways of doing things, of learning, to achieve our current ambitions, especially within our spaces. Now, whether that is in the education sector, whether it's within the professional organization or body like Ihrm, or whether it's with the partners like Unicaf, or even your own individual entities, we really have to rethink how we are applying ourselves in this new learning environment, which is very much virtual, online, and really shaping how we think, how we engage with our teams, either remotely, or whether we are working in a hybrid model, or whether we are working in a call center. This caption you can see right here is somehow mirroring that, how people work, and get work done within different spaces at their own convenience and also at their own pace. So that will be, take most of our conversation this afternoon. At the end of it, we'll also look at, having gone through this entire learning spectrum, then the question would be, how do we measure impact? How do we measure impact in terms of the ROI for learning? How do we translate what we learn, to real, business outcomes, or to really add value to our organization? So the results are quite tangible, and it's not just, hey, it was a good training, and then we're all happy. So we need to just think through end to end in terms of how we're applying ourselves through that. And then please also feel free to ask as many questions as you can, so that we can, incorporate all that in the session as well. Now, there's one quote that I came across from the CEO of Microsoft. Sure, some of you probably have come across it as well. Say, the learn it all does better than the know it all. And you see, this learning mindset driven by a deep curiosity and desire to understand new perspectives and skills is essential as we navigate from rigid jobs to fluid skill sets. Yeah, so you can see it's really emphasizing more on skill sets rather than just jobs. So thinking through how we are evolving, from the traditional jobs to really acquiring skills, or even hiring for skills, or even learning for skills. So that's one fundamental element that then just gives us a good foundation to our discussion today. And maybe just some context, change today is the only constant. Because without change, we would not even be in this call trying to pivot and see how well we can get better and ace our spaces, or even how well we can be able to drive better performance and engagement for our team. So that we wouldn't have any incentive to be in a session like this. Yeah. So William has captured it really well. If you see our current context, the face of corporate learning is changing. So this is really calling out for out of the box thinking. The costs for all budgets that are being allocated to learning are also scaled down. And you will agree with me that, right from the COVID times to what we are experiencing today, there's a lot of shifts in the budgets being allocated by business to, say, trainings. And so this calls for a lot of creativity and innovation and really rethinking how we learn to be more cost efficient. At the same time is looking at the bigger picture. How are we aligning our learning to the key strategic business, and how is this addressing some of our performance problems that we experience almost on a day-to-day basis? And then if you think about the digital disruption, most organizations are currently being challenged to reskill, just assess their teams to see if they're really future ready, or whether they are cut out for what the organization is expecting. So if you ask some organizations, they'll tell you, yes, we have people in the team, but we're not sure whether we have the right skills in the team. Yeah, so you'll realize that you may have the right people in the team, but you may not have the right skills in the team. So the environment has become very competitive and the market has become very fluid. Then, of course, we have the 5 generations in the workplace today, and this is become very mobile and very, has a very different approach to learning. It's more of, we do it as we learn as we go, we learn it as we do it, yeah? And then they do it at their own pace. So when you mix these different generations where others have this structured way of knowledge transfer, and then you have these others who are always, learning something. So you're in a team, you're having a conversation, and this person always has their earpods on, and they're actually reading a book or listening to a podcast. And for you, that's really strange because maybe it's not aligned to what you're used to in your generation. So bringing all this together in such a way that you're able to still collaborate in a very diverse workplace environment. Then, of course, you can think about the competition, the technology advances, and the shifting customer experiences. This requires that we have to always be learning. So the culture of continuous learning, what does it look like? And how is this looking like in our organization? So think about your own space where you have influence, where you drive the people agenda. How are you driving continuous learning? What channels are you using? What methodology are you using? What facilities are you using? And how are you building a case for this as part of your day-to-day or as part of your organization? Yeah, just a bit of context in there. And as you can see, as I was saying, the changing organization priorities means that we need an urgent sense of upskilling and capability building. Yeah. And this is the reason why, as HR professionals, we have to really prioritize developing the workforce, because if we don't, then we lose. And also, as we do this, we really have to tie this to the real key strategic priorities of the business. So it's not just learning for the sake of learning or just ticking the box. Yeah. A lot of research has been done, a couple of, HR firms, and you'll realize that most 74% of L&D professionals say that their focus is on rebuilding or reshaping for the future. This is as per LinkedIn. 84% also say the ability to learn is now more important or as equally as important as demonstrated skills and experiences when hiring candidates. Yeah. So one of the things or the competencies that you'd be probably assessing for would be, the ability to learn or the agility, learning agility, for instance, as one of the competencies, because you need people who are also agile and people who also have the right aptitude and also the right attitude towards learning. Now, resilience and digital fluency has always been cited. I think this is coming out from report after report. I think even, this is probably latest 2021, but even at the latest 2024 last year, resiliency and digital fluency still pops up as some of the top two most important power skills for the new world of work. So just checking within ourselves and reflecting on how well are we doing around this, and even when it comes to now, adaptability to the changing work environment, thinking of the current work models that we have in our areas or spaces of work, how this work is changing, and the challenge now we are getting in terms of changing our culture or driving a new culture thinking or mindset. Yeah. So there's increased flexibility in the work areas, and this is because, these days you can work from anywhere. You can work while traveling, you can work away from home, away from office. But the fundamental thing is that as you do this, asking yourself, how effectively are you collaborating? And what new thing are you gaining every day through some of these interactions? Yeah. And as we do this, it's all just contributes to how then we also still remain relevant. Research also says that, 5 years after graduation, most of those degrees will go obsolete. Now, what does that mean for us? That we have to keep on shaping up. Otherwise, we all will shape out. Yeah. So we cannot just look back to solve future learning needs. So the change that we're seeing now requires adaptation and being able to innovate. Always think of, which is the next big project that will drive the highest impacts within our space. So if I'm in the retail business, if I'm in the manufacturing business, or if I'm in the NGO sector, for instance, looking at now the shifting tides within the global economy, with the aid and the funding, and now that the pipeline is shrinking rapidly, what does it mean for our current workforce in terms of just upskilling or even rethinking how well then we develop so that we are able to survive the next wave of change? Yeah. And as you think about this, one key factor that always comes to mind is how then we apply ourselves. Now, there are different learning approaches, and most of us are already aware of the traditional learning approaches. And when I was going through this, I read this and I still read it again, and I was like, how is it even possible that, any new information that you acquire today, if it's not applied, about 75% of it will be forgotten in 6 days. Yeah, I just want you to think about that for a minute. Yeah, if it's not applied, 75% of it will be lost in 6 days. So it's not so much about the number of trainings that you attend, or the workshops that you attend, or seminars you go to within a year, as much as your budgeting allows. There's so much to do with how well are you translating these things to real tangible outcomes in terms of application. After 3 months, we're also being reminded that 10% of adult learners can only 10% actually can recall the content delivered. Yeah. But then if you think about the experiential side of it, at least up to 65% can recall. Yeah. So it's more to do with the application rather than just the learning itself. So we are being reminded to at least try and adopt a blended learning approach. I think this is almost singing to the choir. These are things that you already do. But as you do them, you need to really think through how you're able to balance in between experiential learning, which is very much on the job, and into real life assignments within your work environment. Then there is the relational learning, which takes care of 20% of the learning approach. And this is really around coaching, mentoring, allowing people to develop through relationships and mentorships. And then of course 10% then would always go to formal learning. And even with the with the Unicaf opportunity, that you'll realize that a lot of this will be oscillating in between formal, experiential, and relational learning in between. So you need to always try and, as much as possible, to find a balance, and that's really what really works as a soft spot for you. So when we do this really well, then you will start seeing a spike in your workforce productivity, because you will be driving ownership. And with ownership also then comes accountability, and people can be able to relate with what you're doing. So that also brings innovation, because as people try experimenting with new ways of doing things, designing a new concept, a new idea, trying to get better ways of getting work done much more efficiently with, say, if it is with workflows, with different tools, that's learning in the process, because if you've gone through, say, a predictive analytics course, the idea should be that you're able to come back and help your team be able to get better insights, much faster, and be able to relate better with data to predict performance or the future trends with much ease. Yeah. And so this brings the agility of how then are you able to then connect all the dots within what you're doing currently. Yeah. So think about your approach and ask yourself, to what extent is this blended, or am I focusing on just one style, which I'm used to and also which is familiar to me? And then as you continue doing this, think about how you are structured, with your workforce currently. Some of you probably have teams, outside of Kenya or international organizations, or mostly have in multiple countries. So think about your work model. How is this affecting the learning of our teams? Yeah, do all workers, regardless of their location, have equal access to learning content and delivery? And does it pose a new challenge for us because they are unsupervised? And does the culture support unsupervised learning? Yeah. So those are things now you just ask yourself when it comes to the work model, the transformation that you're trying to drive in terms of reskilling. Think about our current technologies. What version of ERP are you using at the moment? Is it time to change? Is it time to, maybe consider reevaluating a new solution that will make it easier for you to integrate, some of the LMSs that you have, or the learning content that you have, or if you're going to acquire a learning platform that may easily then integrate with your current ERP platform. So those are things that you need to think about around your work model, around your transformation. Yeah. And you realize that people need to continually be upscaling, be learning, because things change very, very fast. Down there, we're being reminded that the pace of change has never been faster. Learning solutions that were born from tradition or necessity are unable to meet evolving organizational needs brought on by change to the work environment. So this is a signal already that even as an individual, you need to ask yourself, to what extent have I diversified my skill sets, over the last 1 year. Last year, I had a goal of achieving X, and I achieved Y. This year, I have a goal of achieving X. To what will it take for me to achieve X, Y? Okay. So when you're having that development conversation, even with your manager, those are the questions you need to keep challenging yourselves. Do we have the right resources for these people? This one is asking to go to Strathmore for an advanced management course. Is it the right solution or the intervention for him? Or we need to think of something differently? Yeah. So look at those three parameters around work model, transformation, and culture shift, and then you're able to then assess the viability of each. Yeah. And this is the reason why I think we are constantly challenging ourselves to reimagine how we acquire the learning content. Of course, there's a lot of open source content out there. You can get a couple of them, whether it's through Coursera, Udemy. There's a lot of content. But then the question you should be asking yourself is that it's content for what, and how is it helping me advance to the next level? Yeah. So always keep thinking of these three key areas: the changing organizational priorities. Where are we moving to? Are we acquiring a new market? Are we going to shrink our workforce or our teams? Are we going to explore a new technology? So think around those sides. And then, of course, the work environments are also changing. So it has to be reimagined so that everyone feels very well taken care of wherever they are. So the workplace, the workforce, and the work itself. So we need to think about how are we refining this evolution? What part are we playing in terms of getting the right content to the right people at the right time, through the right channels, and I think you could even add at the right price, at the end of the day. So just think about all that, because what this really means is that we are able to then, redirect the right content to the right teams. So don't do blanket application across the organization unless it is mandatory or is a compliant type of a training that everybody must have. But then if you're going to roll out a learning, an e-learning, or get guys to go into a platform, you must have done some background work to really assess the real skill gaps that speaks to finance, speaks to marketing, speaks to HR, speaks to the tech teams, and then make sure that everyone is mapped to the right content and with the right channels at the right time, so that then you're not having everybody going in for a course almost at the same time, at the risk of stalling the operations at your company or your organization. Now, how do you define skills of the future? It should be great also to hear from you guys at some point on how you do this, because it's a very interesting area. How do you even define what that skill of the future will look like? Do we even know? If you look at the LinkedIn learning report, you'll see the top 10. You look at Martha, you look at Deloitte, you look at, all these are published trending future skills. But the question you'd be asking yourself is this really aligned to our organizational context? Yes, these are the top 10 skills according to Deloitte, according to LinkedIn, but are they aligned to our organizational context? Which means, have we done our own internal audit to establish what the real skills gap are and how we're going to close those gaps? Yeah, so you think about what future skills mean for you. I can see I have a co-facilitator. and of course, then you have the identification process there. Think of what's on demand, what's on supply, what's out there, what's our plan in terms of where we're coming from, what resources do we need, and what's our talent strategy. And having gone through this exercise is a very iterative process. So there's no cure all for understanding what skills your organization will need in the future. Yeah, you have to keep on iterating. Now, what you mapped out last year probably has changed quite a bit now, going now into Q1 of this year. Yeah, so we cannot just say no, but we did the mapping as the last year. It may be time for you to use Q1 to just review where you are in terms of your skills inventory or your skills audit. Are we still mapped to the right, the right areas or capability areas? Yeah, because then that helps you to stay alive to where the organization is going from a big picture, perspective. Now, this is really just a quick sample, just to give you a quick glance into some of the things that might help you in your Q1 roadmap when you're doing your skills mapping. Couple of questions to ask and try and gather this data right from where you are, from where the organization sits, to really inform where you're going. So a couple of questions, right? Touching on the organizational culture, on your strategy, location, and also talent strategy. Yeah. So in most cases, by the way, I think most of us sometimes by default quickly run into the new technologies, which is not the case all the time. Yeah. So it's not just those external factors like technology or industry trends that inform skills for the future. So we need to start from inside, in-house, in our house, internally, look at where we are as an organization, look at our culture, and see where the real drivers for the future skills are coming from. Yeah. So you ask yourself these questions, what skills will support our culture, or based on our assessment of the culture over time, there needs to change, or maybe leave things as the same. And you could be looking at what your mission is talking about, your vision, your values. Could it be time to just rejig it a little bit or recalibrate some of those things that you focused on? On strategy, you want to look at your current goals. What will it take for us to achieve this ambitious goal, say in the next 6 or so months? And what do we need to do? What new products or services are we going to launch or roll out in the next couple of days or weeks? Will this require us to get, so you are already talking here the language of the business. So the strategic plan, there's the roadmap, the goals. So you are talking from a big picture point of view, but with the right data. So you have the data to inform the conversation you're going to have with your key stakeholders or the decision makers, especially when it comes to budgeting. Location, of course, if you guys are quite distributed across the continents, now depending on where you are, you may want to look at how this will then affect how people learn. Yeah, so the locations are really, really, really important. Do they have access to infrastructure? What infrastructure is there? Is internet connectivity optimal? Where our people are working in the field, are they able to access some of this content on their mobiles? So to what extent are they able to still be able to continue operating seamlessly without any disruption? And of course, with the talent strategy, you're asking, some of these prioritized initiatives, the pillars that you have, the programs that you have planned in place. If you're going to say, acquire a new, learning platform this year, you may have done your due diligence to really find out which is the one that would be more relevant to your current context compared to the others, because there are a lot of them, out there these days. So you need to just be very, very, very intentional and very deliberate on what you're looking for and whether it serve the purpose that it's required to serve. And then, of course, as you do this, so you're done with your internal due diligence or audit, then now you go to externally. So externally, you're thinking the pastel way. So the pastel way, you're asking yourself, how are we positioned from a political perspective, from an economic perspective, socially, technologically, legally, and environmentally? Yeah. Yeah, so it's more around, the need, the industry strengths, the viability of your current products or services, the ability to continue with the current operating or financial model, or maybe you should change that. Yeah. So all this will help you have a very good grounding or baseline before you run for before you go for the ultimate learning solution that you want to acquire. There is usually this resource network called Occupational Information Network. It's a free database, and you can always find it when you check it out or Google it. And it has thousands of roles and skill definitions. So sometimes when you're going through this and you encounter a lot of ambiguity in the process, sometimes you may want to just check and see if it's still aligned based on your industry or your segment where you play. Now I want to now come into what a typical digital learning solution blueprint looks like. And for those of you probably who are already in this space, you may already have come across something called a learning experience platform. So most solution providers would have this. And in most cases, it's a very intuitive platform. We call it the LXP, that offers you a chance for micro learning, and your teams can be able to access learning on the go or even as they work. And the beauty also is that it's able to integrate internally with your other collaborative tools, say like Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Dynamics 365. So if you have those, then with an LXP, the right solution can be able to still, support what you're looking for. Of course, ideally, it should be optimized for mobile learning as well, so that people are able to access this both online and even offline. 3 ways, either through watching, reading, listening, or practicing, and we'll be able to see what that means. You would have, say, a range of business and leadership skills. You probably would have a range of digital transformation and productivity tools. You'd have a range of technology. So it means it should be able to cater for the needs of each of your key functional areas within the organization. And then the other bit is the capacity of the platform to host, any in-house mandatory training. So if this quarter you have decided to roll out a cybersecurity training, for instance, and everybody has to go through it, and after going through it, everyone has to acknowledge they've gone through it as mandatory, then the platform should be capable of allowing you to host this mandatory content that you have already developed in-house within the same platform. So you have everything in one go. It's a one-stop shop. Yeah. So that's the beauty of the LXP. And of course, if you're looking to get into this space, it's a good opportunity for you to start thinking of what will be the right solution for you. And then as you do this, you will also be able to explore the different learning modalities, whether it has the capability for you to watch. Most of them also have the reading capability, so you'd have online digital audio books for you to read. You can listen to different collections that are available as well. But then ultimately being able to practice some of these things based on what you're consuming with the digital learning channels or modalities. And then, of course, as you do this, you probably would be wondering, how do I identify an ideal digital learning partner? And what most people do sometimes, and I've come across, I've been talking to some clients who tell me, I just talked to a friend of mine and they recommended for me to try this, either this or that. Yeah. Now, there is also a channel, it's called the Forceway 9 Grid. it's an industry analyst. Yeah, it's very Eurocentric. However, you will find that they do have a number of software solutions, and especially touching on different areas, whether it's on talent, whether it's on digital learning, and they'll be able to give you a ranking of each of the solutions providers. So with Foursquare 900, you can be able to have a much more informed decision whether you want to go for LinkedIn Learning, for instance, or Skillsoft. If you take a quick glance at this one, you'll see that they've ranked Skillsoft as a strategic leader in business learning, just from this mapping that you see here on the right. So it's against potential and performance. They also look at market presence. They look at total cost of ownership, which means how much will it cost you, to implement this enterprise-wide. It also looks at the future trajectories in the market. So a couple of things there just for you to think about, and you can take time and just explore this resource. It's available. Then I think the other bit is around methodology for impact. So as I said earlier, it's not just learning for the sake of learning. As you learn, you come across different channels, assessments, practice questions. You'll come across different tools and resources. So your platform should have the capability or the capacity to enable you access some of these. And when you use the blended approach, you will probably have come across an article or listened to a podcast, and then now you engage your team in a check-in meeting or a discussion to really go further on how you can utilize this resource into a real life setting. Yeah, some of these resources that are available. On the job application, of course, scenario-based learning, you'll get a lot of expert insights. So if you're struggling with some project or even trying to figure out how to do some presentation for the board, and looking at what are some of the additional, sort of things to add on to this engagement, then you have different areas to look at. Of course, engagement. The other beauty with most of the digital learning platforms is that they allow you to have personalized learning journeys based on your preferences or based on your on the gaps that you've been able to to inform the system. So for instance, Skillsoft has an assessment tool called Skillsoft benchmark analysis tool, where you're able to rank yourself against different competency areas. So say if it is you're ranking yourself against communication, and then you end up scoring 50%, yeah, it will recommend for you different interventions or course content that will help you close the gap, which you have at 50%, And this is able to do it through AI and machine learning, and you'll be able to just see them popping up on your screen or on your profile. There's the peer-to-peer learning. So you can get a light bulb moment as you do this, and then you get to your team. And of course, during one of your retreats, you engage in a discussion and then just try and break it down. Yeah, most of the learning journeys are also aligned to your personal development plans. So as you do this, you want to bring this in your development conversation with your line manager as well. And then eventually is around performance. So, so what? The question is then, so what? Are we seeing increased productivity? What are our engagement surveys telling us? Have we been able to unlock the opportunity within our marketing team? Have we been able to unlock the opportunity within our sales team? How are the numbers looking like? Yeah. So productivity goes a long way to really go to the real nitty-gritties of what the people are actually doing and trying to connect that as a result of the learning as the intervention that they have been able to map along the way. And of course, feedback, so you'll be getting feedback. So ask for feedback. How am I doing? When you do your performance reviews, you do a 180 or a 360, that could also be an indicator of how well you have been able to move the dial from where you were before. Yeah. So just think about, what methodology would work best for you to drive the right impact. And then finally, last but not least, is really around how we evaluate the ROI for on-demand learning. Now, you will realize if you look at this funnel, we try and think around two things. So efficiency and effectiveness. Now, some of us, I'm sure, probably are very guilty of sticking only to the efficiency of any training program that you attend. You want to think of, how well has it been adopted, how many people attended, the motivation behind it. Was it a push or a pull? For instance, when I did one of the campaigns in my previous workplace, we had a couple of mandatory trainings, and you realize that the completion rates for the mandatory versus voluntary trainings was quite a sharp difference. So you'd find that only 50% of the guys have gone in for the voluntary registration for the trainings that have been assigned to them. But on the mandatory ones, you'd see 80, 90% because it's a push that we have to finish by this time. So where you need to get to as an organization is a place where the voluntary is actually much higher than the mandatory. So you're not pushing guys to go into the platform there and finish. It's not a tick the box. So you realize that guys are actually hungry and thirsty for it. So that's where motivation comes in. Adoption is really just adoption. All you're looking is the percentage of audience able to access and registrations of the courses. Then, of course, when you go deeper, you're looking at now the reaction and recommendations. So you're seeing more course recommendations coming through. You see people are trying to pivot or try new learnings, and you're seeing different recommendations coming through to different people's profiles. You're seeing more digital badges. So guys are completing and guys are really broadcasting even on their social platforms. The ratings are going much, much higher. Yeah, that's really, well and good if you're at that level. But a much deeper level would be on the level of behavior change. And that now starts speaking to effectiveness. Was this program really effective? Yeah. And here and then you look at the learner self-reflection, you look at the survey feedback coming through, you look at observable behaviors, you look at how well the team has been able to improve in terms of their deliverables. You look at the feedback coming in terms of manager effectiveness. So this is now going into a much, much deeper space and usually much harder even to measure actually. And then of course, impact could be a range of things. So you want to look at, okay, last year we were able to deliver X numbers. This year we've been able to deliver X numbers. Yeah. So was it a result of the training? Was it a result of the coaching? Was it a result of? So you look at the overall picture of all your HR development programs that you've been able to sponsor or put in place. These are a recommended top 8 organization goals. And this is a typical one that most people who go into such programs would be looking at. First is to save cost. Second is to save time. Of course, save money is the same as save cost. And then, of course, you want to help the business achieve its goals. You also want to ensure that it's engaging and igniting growth. And then also you want to ensure that you are enhancing your status as an employer of choice. That guys are always asking, and I think even from my own corporate experience, I've always seen this. We want more career development. I want an organization that is investing in my personal growth and development. So guys are always saying this. So is this the outcome that we are seeing already in terms of that? Reduction of risk. Are we compliant? Do we do the annual code of business conduct? Compliance, is everyone going through that just to help reduce our risks? Now, this is now how you start now building a business case for a program. you ensure that all your stakeholders understand this funnel so that it's not just at the top level, which is only efficiency. I'll give you a very practical example of what I've done. So you're looking at it both quantitatively and also qualitatively. Now, about a year or so ago, we did a quantitative analysis. So 3 years in, we had just introduced this e-learning platform, and we were seeing an uptake of adoption. But then we said, let's go a bit granular and look at the real numbers. So we did a cost analysis by completion, where we looked at the total investment. So what you're seeing there is the investment that we did for the year on the platform. And this was looking at a staff headcount of about 500 staff. The completion is really just looking at the courses completed on the platform, which gave us an average of about $8.35 per course on average, which we're spending, on a course per average per year, And that was a good indication, because then we were looking at, what value are we getting out of this platform? Are we really saving cost, or our costs are going higher? Then now we try and tie that now to the 8 areas here. On the qualitative side, we're looking at the top business goals. I've been able to train at scale and cost effectively. This is the feedback we are getting now from the teams in the field. This is what we are getting now from leadership. We are upscaling the teams. Are we saving time? Yes or no? So, you look at all those parameters, compared to other training approaches where you have to close shop and get guys go on a 3-day workshop somewhere. Scalability, I'm able to learn on the go wherever I am. If I'm in Busia with the community, I'm able to, access something very, very quickly on my device and learn. Enhanced brands, when we hire people, we immediately onboard them into the platform, and then they get exposure to over 20,000 learning assets at the same time. Is this now enhancing our employer brand? And then, of course, in terms of achieving your business goals, are we staying ahead of competition, or we are being beaten, in terms of our leadership in this space? Risk I spoke about, code of conduct program, for instance, cybersecurity training, which is now a big thing right now. Ignite and inspire people. So our platform was called LG Learning, and then I had introduced a learning month every year, where we had to do a campaign around the organization where everybody would create time every week to learn something. It could be something tied to your own personal development goal. It could be something tied to the organizational goal or the functional capability areas that you're trying to unlock. And then we also introduced the first-time manager journey on the platform, so that all new managers who are promoted within their first 3 to 6 months have to go through a must-have learning journey on the platform. And this is really based on some of the areas that we had identified as real pain points and priority areas that we had needed to close. Things around difficult conversations, including inclusive leadership. So you can do so much, when you have this resource at your disposal, based on the areas that you have seen. Now, what we used to do with inclusive leadership, we were not relying on the platform 100%. So you'd have a session, an in-person session facilitated by an expert, and then get the teams to do a follow-up session online to just reinforce the learning, as a follow-up session, just reinforce the learning. So you look at now, let's see now the blended approach. So you can actually take an assignment or a task on the platform to be a pre-work before the session, if you like, just to get guys familiar with, what are we going to talk about. And then now when you go to the real session, whether it's a workshop setup, whatever it is, then it's easier now then to integrate and collaborate and make it, very, very interactive. So that's just an example just for you in mind. Now, I know I've spoken a lot. I'll want to pause here, but as I pause, key insights just to think about, and as just a quick re-emphasis, there's no cure-all for understanding what skills you will need in the future. So we have to keep on embedding an iterative process to identify future skills. Yeah. Focus on the segments that are going to have the biggest impact. Always, guys, think 80-20. Do not throw money around. Just focus on those things that are going to have the biggest impact on the organization, not what is going to change the most. When defining new roles, the skills being incorporated may be relatively new, so be realistic in expectations around proficiency. What exactly are we trying to build here in terms of the skills for this project? Then insight 4, understand the tasks associated with new skills is just as important as skills themselves. Okay, so this it will help you decide which roles will need the skills and what the impact of those roles will be. And then number 5 is just ensure that adding skills and tasks for role without removing anything creates an increased risk of overworked employees. So do not overwhelm, your teams. So try and have a balance. So if you're gonna give me this new project, okay, what are you taking away from me? So that I'm still able to be productive at the end of the day, as much as this is a stretch assignment and I'm gonna be learning along the way, I still need to be able to also breathe and have a balanced sort of level of engagement. And of course, finally, is the value of this process comes not just in identifying the skills of the future, but from how the skills are integrated in the organization. So you're doing this to sustain an organization of the future. So think around sustainability, think around stickability, think about how you're doing this at scale. And it's really just a call to action for you. Is 3 things. If you haven't done it before, maybe think about it this year. Initiate a skills audit. Yeah, and begin from, looking at the bigger picture where you are. Look at your current skills within your organization to identify the strengths, gaps, and opportunities for development. Invest in continuous learning platforms. Yeah. And of course, adopt skills-based hiring. So look at skills more than just the titles. Yeah. So that you are hiring for the skills that you need. You're not just hiring to fill roles. You're hiring for the skills that you do not have in-house. Yeah. So this is really my call to action for you, even as you consider exploring the opportunities for learning in the course of the year, even with the opportunities now with Unicaf, the partnership with Ihrm. You have all these resources at your disposal, and I think let's take advantage of them. So Catherine, I'd like to pause there and then maybe take in some questions so we can get into a bit of a conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick, for that beautiful session that we've had. Very, very informative. I can see from the comment sections, a few comments from people talking how this is eye-opening. And this is just great to have you on board today. And I'll step in for Catherine. I would like to take this opportunity if any of us has a question that is burning that maybe probably you did put in the comment section and you want Nicholas to answer. This is your chance. I'll just unmute you. So you'll just raise your hand, then I'll unmute you. So let's take a few moments for questions. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand or unmute. I think you have the rights from your end if the hand icon is far away from you. So I'll give us 1 more minute. And so even as we wait to see if there are any questions, I just want to also retaliate on what Nicholas has just touched. For me, also, this has also been an eye opener on a lot of things that he has discussed. Today, the paradigm is really shifting. HRs are expected to be ahead of everything. And even as he was speaking, I just remembered how, as an organization, Unicaf, we've been leveraging on digital education for the workforce empowerment, which I'm going to share in a few. And we have seen a lot of, as part of our mission, we have seen a lot of people get equipped professionally with the skills and knowledge they need to thrive in the competitive job market. So, how is it that you're helping your people to actually do that? Because you, as an HR, you are the eye of the organization. They're looking forward to you bringing in new strategies on how to empower your employees. So I think so far I've not seen any hand raised. Let me see the text center. Evening after all trainings, why is learning still a challenge to many organizations today? Um, you want to take that, Nicholas? So Alex Kakungi asks, even after all the trainings, why is learning still a challenge in many organizations today?
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned briefly that's really where the rubber meets the road. Is how are we able to translate the learnings into action? And that's usually the question most CFOs will ask you when you're asking for money is, show me the outcomes, show me the outcomes. So we need to, when we're going into learn, that's how I was saying, we need to be very, very clear, have clarity of what you're trying to solve and why you think the learning approach you have opted for is the ideal one. Because you have to connect the dots. At the end of the day, you really have to connect the dots. If you want to upscale and be a much better data analyst, for instance, and you go into that program, say with Moringa or whoever, they need to see the outcome of the problem you're taking into that program. So, say if you have a couple of dashboards, or you're in charge of business performance and you have to be reporting every quarter, they need to see that after 3 months done with the course, the next quarter when you're coming to report to the management, your reporting style has completely changed. Your dashboards are looking very different and you have clarity of mind, your data sets, your insights, your predictions, your connections with the external trend, the way you bring the teams along and how you connect the end to end is really speaking to a language that the business understands. Yeah. So this is the one area that not many people have been able to unlock beyond just the classroom or beyond just the learning that they do. So at the end of the day, we still have to challenge ourselves. Okay, we are going into this, but then for what? What problem are we solving? Yeah, because unless you start with the problem you're solving, you're probably just going into it as a by the way or as a business as usual or as a tick the box, which then becomes a big challenge for you to get approval for the next year's budget, for instance. So at least let's think a bit more creatively on how we are able to justify our learning and translate learning into practice. I don't know, Winnie, if you add something on that.
I think that's good enough. Unless I'm just getting the name. Unless you need more clarification on that. I see we have another question that has just come up. So just allow me to read it. Valerie Ogutu asks, what would you advise HRs who manage teams with specialized skills when it comes to training needs and assessing the level of specialized skills, e.g. doctors, lawyers, software engineers? I don't know if I should read it again.
Yeah. Specialized skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, specialized skills are great, and in fact, they are the core of their work. Because usually when you come in, when I hire you as a doctor, I'm hiring you because you already have the right skills that we need for you to do your job. if it's in a hospital setting. However, you'll realize that at the end of the day, as much as I am very, very good technically as a doctor or as whatever it is, I still need to keep myself updated or upskilled beyond just the hard skills. So things around emotional intelligence, for instance, things around communication or stakeholder management, your level of agility. Yes, you're a doctor, but to what extent, how well do you engage and communicate with your patients in such a way that they're able to understand your prescriptions or your instructions and are able to follow through and able to really see you beyond just you in the white coat? Yeah. So there's always something more that you may want to do an assessment and find out from them what else would make you a much better doctor or the best doctor in this space. Yes, I'm a doctor. We have many of them, but some doctors are better than others. Why? Because they have something extra. They have a diversified skill set. They have a way of engaging. They have better equipped when it comes to administration and management, which means they can actually lead a team. And that's where you'd promote a doctor into a CEO, for instance, or a head of a unit within the hospital. Why would you promote them? Because they have demonstrated an extra level of capability, which in most cases falls within the soft skills range. So your auditing probably for me would be more on the other bits that are more softer, not so much on the technical side, because the technical side is almost like a given. But then how they apply themselves in their work, how they apply themselves in the space, really for me makes the biggest difference. And especially when you think about things like around emotional intelligence and decision making. So think beyond the specialist skills to diversify and broaden that space.
Wow, that's insightful. There's a statement that usually says specialization is good, but it kills innovation. So I think I agree with you, Nick, that we ought to ensure that the skill sets that we have are diversified, and that helps us even when it comes to in terms when you're promoting or you want to bring in a new employee to handle other tasks. I see a lot of other questions that are around digital learning, and somebody is asking, just a minute, that went up again, is asking, uh, how can you edify sessions? How can your employees, how can you ensure that digital learning is accessible to employees with physical challenges, e.g. the deaf, the blind, etc. That is Ruth from Da. So even as we take the other questions, I think I will answer that question as I do a small presentation for my end for Unicaf, because I think we are one of the organizations that have really tried to be diverse and be very intentional about inclusivity and having people from different places be able to access, digital learning. Let me try and just share with you my screen. Just give me a few minutes. I share with you my screen. Okay, so, all right. Just confirm to me if you are able to see my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
All right, great. So even as I answer that question, yes, that's one of the challenges that we have or for the disadvantage in Unicaf, and I'm going to show you how that works. Nick, just keep being there because I still have more questions for you. If our time, I know we'll have time to handle all that. So allow me to take you through the partnership that we have with the IHRM. We signed up an MOU with IHRM to ensure that their members can be able to access scholarships. This starts from you as the HR and your people that you work under you. And so one of the things that you're required is to be creative, to bring in new ideas on how you can impact your employees, and more so like the question that has been asked, and be very inclusive as you're doing that. We have had a lot of challenges over the years whereby HR managers have a lot of concerns having their employees go to study either abroad or take evening classes, people taking a lot of leave days and all that. And that is why Unicaf is here. This particular partnership that we signed with HRM then gives employees and also HRM members a chance to actually interact with one of the most beautiful platforms. So in ASNIP, Unicaf is a leading online platform that facilitates online delivery of affordable, flexible, and high-quality learning. When we say that it is flexible, it means you can study online. When we say it's affordable, it comes with a scholarship pegged on it. And when we say it is high quality, it is with the universities that we have partnered with so that you and your members can be able to actually study at the comfort of your stations. And one of the things that we pride ourselves is Unicaf is part of the wider European Educational Organization, and we are registered by the Commission of University Education, which means the universities that we have incorporated are actually accredited in their home countries. And so over the years, we have had 30 years of experience in international education markets. You can see that by the partners that we have onboarded. We have worked with Goldman Sachs, we have worked with CDC Group, we have worked with edX, which is one of the biggest and largest education bodies. We work with Forbes magazine, News IT, the Vanguard, and all that because we want to ensure that standards and quality are maintained. As we speak today, Unicaf has already awarded over 100 million worth of scholarships. And this figure that is before your screen, as at last year, December, we were at 90,000 lives that have been changed. And so just for a brief, I'm going to share with you this video. Just a minute. Of how you can just, I know a lot of people are asking themselves, how do we access these scholarships? A lot of people ask, is Unicaf a true organization and all that? And that is why HRM had to do their background check.
We can't hear the sound. I don't know if it's a sound issue.
Let me try again for the sound. Can you hear it now? Can you hear the sound now?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Let me just... So as an HR, you can be able to actually earn an internationally recognized degree from one of the universities that we have partnered with. And this can also be rolled down to your employees. This is very simple. We usually sign an MOU, just like we've signed with IHRM. If this is what you want to be rolled to your staff, then we have an MOU whereby we sign an unbinding MOU that does not give the organization the burden to pay fees for anybody, because the programs are under scholarships. And so I'm going to also take you through just this small video, then we proceed.
Do you need an internationally recognized degree to improve your job opportunities at a higher salary? Then Unicaf is the answer. We can help you realize your dream by offering you a scholarship towards achieving your goal. Unicaf University, a Pan-African independent recognized university combining the best elements of international education, offers high-quality degree programs at a fraction of the cost. With branch campuses and all learning centers in 12 different countries in Africa, We offer a full range of bachelor, master's and doctorate degrees. You can study fully online using the Unicaf state-of-the-art platform or on campus at one of our esteemed campuses. In addition to a Unicaf university degree, you can study towards a degree awarded by one of our partner universities in the UK. Through the Unicaf Scholarship Programme, you can earn a British Master's degree with international recognition at a fraction of the cost. Unicaf, increasing access to quality higher education. More than $90 million worth of scholarships already awarded to eligible applicants. Sign up now to make the most of our affordable degree offers. Visit www.unicaf.org and complete the simple application form to apply for one of our scholarships.
Awesome. As you have seen, 100 million worth of scholarships have already been disbanded. We have impacted over 90,000 lives as of December last year. So your members or employees can be able to access these scholarships at the comfort of their stations. When you talk about the comfort of the stations, it means that any university that you see, we have University of East London, we have University of Suffolk in the UK, also we have University Liverpool John Moore universities, the three in the UK, then we have Unicaf universities in Africa, whereby we are trying to set up the physical campuses. So far, we only have Malawi and Zambia. And so we have a wide range of university whereby your people can be able to actually choose from. Our international partners then allow us to pay up the scholarship upfront, such that once you apply for this particular scholarship, especially under HRM, which has a pegged scholarship, we have actually negotiated an 80% scholarship for all HRM members. And so far, within the last 1 year that we have been partners, we have onboarded over 40 members of Ihrm who have already taken up the courses. And so we thought it is wise, because a lot of people do not know how this works. And that is why today we had this particular webinar also. So our partnership with the University of Suffolk and any other UK university, it's a sort of partnership where Unicaf delivers the university programs online via a state of e-learning environment. We offer full-time personal student support and academic guidance. And then the university that the person studies or chooses is the university they graduate from. That means they study remotely, but once they're done, they actually go to UK to graduate physically. And so this has given a lot of people an easy time to be able to just access internationally recognized degrees. And so over the time, what has happened also is that this platform allows your employees to be able to study at their own time and at their own convenience. So there is no these issues of somebody taking leave. They can be able to study over the weekend, at night, in the morning, wherever they are, because as an organization also we have an app that is the Unicaf app. The app also has the option of allowing people who have disabilities to be able to study. And so we have the deaf, the dumb, who have been able to even graduate from this platform, because we have the braille option of study. We have YouTube, watching your classes via YouTube. You can be able to download your notes, and you can be able to just listen through them through audios. So with the AI that has come in place, a lot of courses have been able to be, transferred online, and you can be able to access them at your own convenience. Remember, again, like I said, we are registered by the Commission, so that gives you the legitimacy that any course that you undertake with us, with our partner universities, are accredited and licensed also locally by the Commission. We are listed in the UNESCO World Higher Education Body as one of the best platforms, online platforms. And so it gives our candidates a very good opportunity to study at their own pace. This is because also our courses are modular based, so you don't have to worry about waiting for quorum. You don't have to worry about which time do I study. If you think you are busy during a particular month, then you can just stop studying and pick it up at your convenience. And that has given a lot of people the flexibility to actually achieve their dreams. So today, even as we speak, it's just a reminder that by registering on this particular scholarship, we would still be offering the 80% that we had signed an MOU with the HRM. The only thing that needs approval is are you an IHRM member? And so today I would like to call upon us that after the webinar, I know we had done our registration, and we will organize with Catherine so that we can be able to share this information to your emails and the registration link. And after that, you'll have advisors who are going to take you through the registration process. In Kenya, we have an office at West Park Suites or Jijo Road, whereby we are able to assist all our students through their application process until they are admitted. But the good news also is that the scholarship is already pre-negotiated, the 80% scholarship. So if you are in this webinar, do not go to Unicaf website to apply, because that is not the negotiated scholarship. We have a special landing page for IHRM, which we will share in the WhatsApp group and also to your email addresses after this particular webinar. So that is the link that if you are interested to pursue any of the masters, undergrads, and also PhD, you can be able to just apply, and our advisors will be able to help you through the process. What are some of the courses that we have on board? There's so many to choose from. We have in this context, we have a lot of courses and big data technologies for your employees in IT, information security, in masters. We have business psychology. We have MA in education under Liverpool John Moore. We have HR courses, international public health, and a lot more courses. Let me just check other available courses: organization psychology, managerial. We have education. We have public administration, web design, and a lot. Under the doctorate degrees, we have business administration, which has also a lot of specializations under it. HR being one of them. We have doctorate in philosophy and also doctorate in education. And so when you look at this, there's a vast, options that you can choose from. I see people sending a lot of questions. Please keep them coming. And Sheila, if you are on board, please answer to some of those questions. The other thing that I would like to share is this being an online platform, we give a chance to our students to usually meet so that they can be able to share their ideologies. And with that, Unicaf has always come up with conferences where if you are a student, you are eligible to attend and just meet with the tutors, the speakers from different parts of the world, who come together to just ensure that you're taken care of, you share ideas and from people from all over the world. And also this year, we have our conference that is going to happen in Dubai in April. And so our students are allowed to, are assisted and allowed to attend that particular conference. And maybe just to show how that usually works, I will share with you one of our conferences that has happened in the past so that you see a feel of how our students interact. Beautiful. That's the Unicaf fraternity. And today, even as I go back to the question section, I know there are a lot of questions and we still have a bit of time. I will read up the questions and the ones that are to be responded by Nick. I will give him a chance to respond. But also just to give you a snip of the virtual learning environment. I know you're wondering, how is this online platform working? And I'd like to share with you this brief video that explains how you'd be studying, because it's a very easy platform to interact with that does not stress anybody at any time.
This video will take you on a short tour of the virtual learning environment used by Unicaf's partners, highlighting the key things you need to know to navigate through one of their courses. Don't forget, once the course is started, you can study anytime and any way that suits you, because it is all done online. Each Unicaf partner has its own virtual learning environment. When you are signed into a Unicaf partner's virtual learning environment, you will be taken to a page that lists the current news and announcements for the courses in which you are enrolled. The navigation of the site is very easy. Simply expand the My Courses menu, click on the university partner, and then click on a course. You will be taken to a page that lists all the modules of that course. Each week, a new module is released and it is displayed here. The navigation bar at the top right of the page provides you with quick and personalized navigation. Here you will see two drop-down menus, your dashboard, named after your username, and My Courses. To reveal your personal menu items, click on the Your Dashboard menu. This is where you can see and make edits to your profile information, access important deadlines, and see your messages. Click on the My Courses menu for easy navigation through the various modules of the course in which you are enrolled. Even though you can study independently, you are supported through your learning journey. If you ever need technical help, you can always send a support request using the Help menu located at the top right of the page. To make your learning experience more meaningful, every module is split into smaller units around learning outcomes. And in each unit you will engage with different learning materials such as notes, infographics, videos, web resources, and presentations. After engaging with these materials, you will bring your learning into immediate application through quizzes, small group discussions, project submissions, and collaborative activities before moving on to the next unit. All courses are based on continuous assessment, which means that you are assisted throughout each course with a good distribution of quizzes, collaborative activities, and ongoing projects. Because you are at the center of the learning experience, you benefit from the freedom of adjusting your schedule to suit your needs. Remember that your learning is in your hands. So embrace this opportunity with as much curiosity and tenacity as you possibly can, and above all, enjoy it.
Great. That brings me to the end of that presentation. And I just want to go back again to the questions that we have. And as we address those questions, I'd like to inform you that we will send you the link for registration. For those who would like to proceed, you'll just register there and then we'll be able to contact you back and take you through the process. If you also feel that you want to introduce this in your organization, please feel free to reach us. My number is 0724 057728. I'll repeat again. You can have it down 0724 057728. That's Winnie, so you can call me at any time, then we can discuss that. I repeat it for the last time, 0724 057728. Because of time, allow me to read the questions that we have. Just a minute. We have a few more questions here. How do I join WhatsApp Ihrm? I think I'll ask Catherine to send that. This I think is for you, Nick. What would you advise where an organization barely allocates budgets for training and learning due to restriction in resources, yet training needs keep cropping up after performance appraisals? So that's for you, Nick.
Yeah. It's a good question, and it happens a lot. I know we've all been there. I think this is really where it calls for a lot of thinking out of the box and trying to find better ways to skin the cat. And you will also agree with me that given the availability of a range of online resources within our disposal, you could look at the areas that are real pain points coming out of the performance reviews with the teams, and scope out for some free resources within within the within online or otherwise that are available. So there's one. So one, I think I would scope out for free online resources that would speak what we're looking for. So whether you're going through Udemy or Coursera, usually they would have some very, very, if not affordable, but some are actually open if they would speak to you. Second thing is I would look at the internal capability within the team. So say that, say an example in finance, most of the the finance people are not very good in advanced Excel. I would maybe get someone who is really, really good in advanced Excel, whether they're in finance or in projects, to just come and do, say, a 1-hour session every week or so, and being, just to help, close that gap and have these sort of cross-learning opportunities within the team. So I would look at it very differently. So look at internally within the team, what are the available subject matter experts that we can tap into to support the teams across. And that's the reason why I said earlier it's very important to do that internal skills audit, because if you don't do it, you may not have visibility of who is good in what, or have just know who you have, what resources you have beyond what they have been hired to do. You may not know what extras they bring on board that you can tap into. Yeah, so that's that cross-functional, cross-learning opportunity might come in handy, especially when you are short on budget for training. And of course, you may get some members of senior management team who may also want to give their time and just mentor based on their broad range of experience. Yes, so that's why I'm saying just be very clear on what are the areas that are a must-have, and then look internally first, then look externally on what available resources you can take advantage of.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Nick. Let me see if we have any pending questions. I see somebody is asking if they had applied earlier, will they get the offer? Being an HRM member, yes. So you'll just send your details to the number that has been shared with you, then you'll be assisted through. Do we have any other questions? Let me see here. What courses are available and at what costs? We will send you that link so that you can choose from the ones that are available. I have one question here from Lois Duarte. I think it's the last question. There is a comment, first of all, from Florence that says, now I understand on the motivation aspect or ROI, on why it is different because of the mandatory versus voluntary. It's not about drawing a report after the training, but being able to solve a problem or have future ready skills. Great. So Lois says, great session. Thank you. Did you say that there has been research on how the different generations prefer to learn? So I think that's our last question to you. I don't think I've skipped anyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, yes, I can go. Yeah. So
Yes.
so for the different generations, so what I was trying to bring across was that their learning styles could be very different. Very, very different. I didn't have any specific research of reference, but if you check out even in what's been trending on how the Gen Zs learn and pick things versus the Gen Xs, for instance, you will see a sharp difference just on how instantaneous they are, the preferences they like, and probably also how impatient they are with the traditional methods of going into a training and sitting the whole day. Of course, there are lots of dynamics around that. So it's always good to understand the makeup of your teams, and then you're able then to propose or recommend, an appropriate learning approach for them. Yeah. So, but there are a couple of research out there. If you go out and check, you'll see. You can also DM me because this is something I'm also very passionate about, and we can have this conversation also offline. I don't know if there is any other. Yeah. Oh, Valerie was wondering whether there's a software you can use to measure the level of skills. Can you repeat the name? So Valerie, the one I mentioned is what you would find if you were using the Skillsoft learning experience platform. So within the Skillsoft platform, they have an inbuilt skills assessment tool. They call it the Skillsoft benchmark. So with the benchmark tool, you are able to then assess based on your profile a number of things, and then it will give you just populate for you, how you're faring against the ideal area where you should be. So if it is 50%, 70%, 90%, now based on that skills that assessment, it will then automatically recommend to you different courses or content that then you can consume or you can start learning to fill in the gap. Yeah, so you'll find the tools are always built depending on the software solution that you opt for. Yeah, but it's also something that we can also look into and discuss even further. So you just let me know and we can catch up on that as well.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, for that. I believe this was a very interactive session. I see somebody is saying, how can I get the tool? How can I get the tool? So I think Nick said you can DM him and he'll be able to assist you and have those conversations also outside this. You can also follow him on LinkedIn. He uses the same names, Nicholas Cassidy, and you can actually settle on that. So from my end, I just want to thank you, Nicholas, for taking your time to join us today. Thank you, Valerie. She's saying this is a very wonderful, insightful session. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge. And yes, we cannot thank you enough for even taking time to be with this team today. I know they have picked up a lot of nuggets from you, and we hope to have another session on another topic that is really eye-opening. And from us, Unicaf, we look at supporting you all the way. We will be able to send you out the link for registration and the courses so that you can be able to choose from. Like I said, you can reach out to us if you want to roll this out in your organization. You want to see how this will happen. Please feel free to reach to us. From me, I know Catherine is engaged in another meeting, so I'm going to say thank you on behalf of Ihrm also for putting this together. Very thoughtful of them and their members. And we thank the entire Ihrm team for even taking time to see this session come through. And so thank you also for logging in. I want to take this moment to wish you a very, very great evening and looking forward to meet you all soon. So from me, it's a bye-bye and thank you. We look forward to engaging with you in other platforms. Thank you so much. You can leave at your own discretion.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim. And I'm sure you'll get your 12 minutes back.
Awesome.